When Catra comes near her, the lips overflow and the hero praises the flower.
Welcome back, fellow Ethereans, and this is part 3 of the Catra Comprehensive Review. My name is Mike Jenkins. Happy Halloween. And this time around, we're going to review Catra's vintage figure and her Masters of the Universe Classics figure. Here we have the vintage Catra. She came with a comb, as most of the vintage characters came with. I do not collect the combs, so I don't have those. She came with her shield, her cat shield, and she came with her mask and her dress, her furry, bushy dress. The mask has the ability to pull down over her face, which is typically how I display her, but you can also pull it up so you can see her beautiful green eyes. And of course, the mask does totally come off. You will often find Catra figures on eBay without masks. The masks do tend to break, the straps break off, and the mask is rendered useless. But I'm fortunate enough to have an intact cat mask. The shield is detachable, and she does have hands that can hold weapons if you come across weapons for her to wield. The Princess of Power toy line was not very good at releasing weapons of offense. You will see a lot of the characters came with shields, but they didn't necessarily come with offensive weapons. There were swords. There were a couple of swords in there. There were mostly shields, and you also had staffs or wands that some of the characters would wield. But swords and other offensive type weapons were off limits because it was a girl's line. Catra has your typical articulation. She has the pivot in the head. She's got the arm pivot, pivot at the waist. She actually has the battle waist. And she's got the swivel at the legs. Her dress is detachable, and you will find there's a lot of Catra figures that don't come with the furry dress. So it'll be difficult to find the dress by itself, I've found. But there is Miss Catra. This is Catra released in the Masters of the Universe Classics toy line. She was released in 2011. She is essentially straight out of the Filmation cartoon series, although at the time of her release, Mattel didn't have access to Filmation, but there was a loophole that they were able to use in the form of the Mattel Style Guide, which featured the characters mostly in Filmation style depictions. So we were able to get Catra in her Filmation Style Guide form. She was released with several accessories, which was a bonus to collectors. She was released with her sword, which is based on the design that was released with her third year variant, the 1987 variant of Shower Power Catra, because that's the first time Catra ever got a sword in the vintage toy line, and they released that sword with the Classics Catra. She also got her shield, which is based on the shield from the vintage toy line, and the Four Horsemen in Mattel were very smart and clever when they released a whip for Catra, which is possibly influenced by Catwoman from Batman. Uh, this whip, though, the handle features a serrated portion that is actually a comb, which is a nod to the combs that came with the vintage characters. Catra was also able to have two masks released with this figure. One mask is based on her toy, a vintage toy, her first vintage toy, and the other mask is based on her Filmation depiction. As far as articulation goes, it's pretty standard. She's got the articulation at the shoulder, at the bicep, at the elbow. She's got articulation at the wrist. She's got the articulation at the hip leg joint there. Knee articulation. She's got a boot cut articulation, so you can actually swivel her leg, her boot there. And she's got the ankle joint articulation. Her other hand, her open hand, is flexible. I'm not quite sure what the logic was to that. I don't know if it was for spell casting, or I don't remember what the logic was to that. Some fans were not happy with how her hair turned out. In the cartoon series, Catra's hair was blue. It was blue, just a royal blue. But in the toy line, her hair is black, more in nodding to her original figure. Although there are washes on here, there are blue washes on here to sort of nod to her cartoon depiction. The cape is removable. The collar and cape are removable if you take her head off, but I'm not going to do that just because I like keeping my joints tight. And she's a wonderful figure. I do hope we get some variations of Catra as the Classics toy line continues. But in the meantime, here she is with her alternate mask, or her cartoon version mask, and also her whip in action. So let's hope that she can get some more variants. If you have it in mind, right now you can go out and put some votes in for more Princess of Power figures in the Classics toy line. Make sure you go to he-man.org, or I can put a link down below so you can go do some voting. And hopefully we'll see more of Catra and other Princess of Power characters in the Masters of the Universe Classics toy line. And that is my review of Catra, the lone villain of the Princess of Power toy line. Of course, she did have Entrapta as a minion. She did have Storm and Claudine as steeds. But it's mostly Catra. It's mostly Catra who's doing all the trouble and dirty work on Etheria. So join me next time for episode 5, which will be about the elusive Double Trouble. In the meantime, have a happy Halloween, have a safe Halloween, and ta-ta for now.